Hey everyone, this is Harrison with Level 1 Gaming, reviewing Modern Warfare 3's campaign. Have you ever been watching a TV show that gets cancelled mid-season, leaving the writers to hastily scramble to tie up loose ends? That's kind of how playing Modern Warfare 3's campaign feels. And the departure from the typical quality of these campaigns is quite evident even from the second mission in. To me, even the worst COD campaigns still deliver mostly coherent stories and jaw-dropping action set pieces, even if those stories are insane and the action set pieces are like a constant roller coaster ride. Unlike its predecessors, this installment fails to deliver those anticipated story beats and engaging set pieces. And out of the 15 levels, only a meager 4 here adhere to the traditional Modern Warfare standards, with the rest being open combat missions. We'll get to those. So for me, the campaign disappoints here with its brevity, lack of coherence, and never lives up to its own namesake. And I will mention too that for this review, I completed 2 playthroughs. My first playthrough was on Hardened, and I mostly took my time and opted for a stealthier approach, which took me 5 hours and 36 minutes, including cutscenes. Second playthrough was on normal, and I played at the normal pace of a COD game, and it took me 2 hours and 16 minutes without cutscenes, so this is a very short game. So despite improved gameplay mechanics and exceptional audio, I cannot recommend purchasing Modern Warfare 3 solely for its campaign. And I will say that, a lot of people don't do that anyways, but for a situation like this where you can pay extra money to get early access to play the campaign, it is definitely not worth your time. I will say though that this game mixes up expectations. So the opening level here kicks off in typical Call of Duty style, showcasing stunning graphics and engaging gameplay during a prison break. However, the subsequent missions take an unexpected turn, and the narrative seems to veer off course a tad bit, with some missions like the one you're seeing resembling a Warzone Lite experience, where you parachute into a level and you're kind of ill-prepared, you scavenge for gear, engage in somewhat mundane tasks such as infiltrating, disarming bombs, and you open crates and can find guns and, airstrikes and kill streak rewards, basically. And you kind of realize that, oh, you're playing Warzone Lite. These are open combat missions and mostly dominate the campaign and are quite a departure from the anticipated Call of Duty gameplay, with you scouting out locations, marking enemies before choosing your approach and moving in. I will go ahead and say off the bat that I did enjoy a few of these missions, such as one where you're infiltrating a seaside villa, another where you're navigating a confined apartment building. These offer enjoyable moments, especially on harder difficulties, but they're regrettably scarce. I will also say that it's baffling that you consistently start these missions without basic gear such as night vision goggles or a rope ascending tool, forcing you to scavenge for the same equipment level after level. And sometimes you find gear that's not super well suited to a mission, such as you just saw finding a night vision scope rifle, but your levels during the middle of the day. But after you complete the campaign, you can replay these levels with previously acquired gear from that level. These missions to me kind of remind me of the recent Battlefield campaigns, which include a few linear levels but are mainly comprised of open sandbox style missions to be approached any way that you wish. So since the game presents these open combat missions as the new thing to judge the game by, we'll be looking at these. And for me, like I said, there are a couple that I enjoyed, but overall they suffer from a few notable flaws. Their brevity, for example, is extreme. Some last a mere 5 minutes here, and it really makes them feel lacking and hastily put together. And unlike, those open sandbox levels in Battlefield or a Far Cry game, nothing else really dynamic happens in these missions. And that's what the biggest letdown is to me. So if your mission is to blow up 3 helicopters in a level, if you get seen, there's going to be people that are going to come at you, but nothing crazy is going to happen. You're just going to blow up those 3 helicopters or mark those crates, and then the level ends. And I'm by no means a speedrunner, but I was able to beat one of these levels in barely over 2 minutes on my first try, which is saying something. The AI in these missions also presents issues, often detecting players unrealistically and behaving in a glitchy manner. And as someone who usually opts for a stealthier approach, my enjoyment was incredibly diminished as I encountered these bugs in pretty much every level throughout the campaign. And an ultimate example I can think of is a mission that you're seeing on screen right here, where it's a night mission. You have to recover phones while a squad mate covers you with a sniper rifle. I never saw my squad mate fire the rifle the entire time, even though if they were in Overwatch, and I would get spotted by AI 100 yards away while they were on the other side of a house as I was crawling through tall grass behind a stone wall. And Trying to maintain stealth this mission took me almost 20 minutes, but we were playing it on normal and going loud. It took me only 5 minutes, and my teammates still never fired a shot on going loud. Another mission, I took a step, and everybody in the level immediately got alerted to my presence. You can obviously restart or reload a checkpoint, but these missions were enough that it kept happening. But thankfully, there are a couple handful of missions that encapsulate the essence of a classic Call of Duty experience. That you are fighting with your squad against numerous adversaries in firefights. One standout moment being a mission with a tense firefight causing you to pick your shots carefully as dozens of civilians are weaving in and out of the chaos. Regrettably, again, these moments are pretty scarce, and you only spend about 4 missions out of the 14 with your squad, which diminishes the sense of camaraderie in the story. And unlike the original Modern Warfare games or even the past two, pretty much every single mission here in the open combat areas is a solo mission. You do hear your teammates kind of off screen doing things, but you never see them in person. So that leads us to the narrative, where I think the open combat missions kind of let it down because you hear so much background radio chatter and everything that exciting happens off screen. The narrative is mostly conveyed through cutscenes and background radio chatter, but is another missed opportunity. I will say that this game looks amazing. Like, at some point it's probably cheaper to film this live action than it is to animate it. And because honestly, some of these shots look so real, it's hard to tell a difference. And, despite this remarkable production quality, the story fails to develop meaningfully, with pretty much all of the key action occurring off screen or any set piece occurring during a cutscene. And the lack of control really is a stark contrast to the original Modern Warfare games, where, if your convoy was ambushed, you were in, the driver's seat able to experience any gameplay. Or if, like the Eiffel Tower was falling or a skyscraper was falling down, you were in gameplay watching that happen. The plot here I also found to be pretty messy. Because this game feels so underwritten, you're jumping from mission to mission with barely any context or understanding of the overall plot. And since some of these levels are so short, by the time you figure out what you're doing in that level, the plot, pretty much ends for that part and you're moving on to the next thing. And even though, again, the story is incredibly well acted, looks phenomenal, the writing really lets it down here. They reintroduce Makarov here, and his actor does an amazing job. Nothing against him. He does a fantastic job of, really seeming like an evil dude. But the writing here makes him feel like less of a gripping villain and more of like a random Russian bad guy number 4 who mainly speaks in cliches. Overall, the story itself, the worst sin it commits is that not a whole lot really happens. Like I said, it's very pretty to look at, but when the story ends pretty abruptly, you're pretty much in the same spot that you were at the very beginning of the game, or as much as you did there. Overall, this game, Modern Warfare 3, feels more suited to a co-op campaign or a DLC that's bridging the story between Modern Warfare 2 and Modern Warfare 3. And if I was going to put on my tinfoil hat for a second, I would not be surprised if this campaign that we got was originally only supposed to consist of the 4 or so missions that we got with our squad mates that are very cinematic, and that was going to be just a DLC to coincide with the original Modern Warfare 3 maps being added to Call of Duty HQ. But somewhere along the line, it was decided to be a full release, so the devs were forced to pad out the campaign with open combat missions and lots of off-screen radio chatter. And I will say that these missions that you're with your squad are fantastic and offer a pretty concise and compelling experience, but overall, with the rest of the open combat missions, kind of fall short of the expectations laid out by the original Modern Warfare 3, and kind of fall flat if you look at the experience just as a whole for this presenting something new. With all that being said, and despite the open combat mission's shortcomings, I still believe that there is fun gameplay to be had here, and the sound is still amazing, the guns still look great, the animations are fantastic, and the new tac stance really does bring something new to the game, and I'm interested to see how it is going to turn out in multiplayer. I only wish that you could lean left and right with or choose which side you were going to use the tac stance with. And specifically, if we look at the potential of open combat missions, they stand out to me as a concept that, if reimagined, they could substantially enhance the gameplay and be the next evolution for COD campaigns. So imagine if these missions were more sparingly incorporated into the campaign and were more meticulously designed for dynamic encounters. Let's look at the mission where you play as a disguised Laswell, and you're supposed to rendezvous with an informant, a mission in the game that currently lasts maybe 4 to 5 minutes, and is probably the most shallow level in the campaign. Let's look at this level and say that, hey, let's give this level a revamp with the open combat style, and I think that could bring much more depth to it. Let's say your starting point is miles away from the base, which offers you multiple pathways to approach your objective. You know, you have to dodge and weave and take down patrols, and stealth becomes crucial as you seek to obtain an officer's uniform, trying to infiltrate the base, akin to well, I guess this would be more like a Hitman style level is what I'm looking for. So if you're detected on approach, your squad mate stationed in the hills can provide overwatch support, and the target with the key card would react, fortify their position, like retreat to a safe room and intensify whatever's going on. And along with that, a lot of these missions already have another character off screen, so if we wanted to stick with the open combat missions, maybe make them co-op as well. And you know, if COD is going to stick with this formula moving forward, I really think implementing some of these dynamic changes and elements could substantially elevate these missions, again, if we revisit them. Playing Modern Warfare 3 is an interesting experience, and reviewing it even more so. On one hand, it is following in the legacy of the original Modern Warfare 3, and has to try to live up and exceed all those games' expectations. However, the game is not trying to be like the original Modern Warfare 3, it is trying to do its own thing, and that is okay. But if we try to judge the game based off what it actually delivers, such as the storytelling and the new open combat missions, I really do think it falls flat in the execution. All right, that'll wrap up this review. Thanks for watching. Remember to follow, subscribe, like, all that stuff for Level 1 Gaming, and check back with us next week when we will have the review for the multiplayer section.